In a season unlike any other, tonight is poised to be yet another game to remember as we welcome you to Mavs Center Court, presented by Baylor Scott and White Health. Daniel Gafford, after missing a month and a half with a knee injury, is set to return to action tonight. And even better news, the Mavs' dominant duo in the middle is almost back together. Derek Lively II, who missed 2.5 months, is trending towards a return on this homestand. The cavalry is arriving as we welcome you to Mavs TV here on WFAA. Dana Larson along with Jeff Skin Wade and Brian Damaris. Great to see you both. And Skin, it's great to be back after a successful road trip and have reinforcements like Daniel Gafford and on deck Derek Lively II. Good vibes right now in this building.
I was watching that highlight package and I'd forgotten how much I love Daniel Gafford's game. All those block shots. He's bringing a lot to the table. And Brian, you're on that road trip on the radio call. The momentum is real right now.
Yeah, there's really good vibes around this team. They've kind of hunkered together, and you can really see now that you're starting to add these bodies, and the elevated play that everybody else played while they were out can now be added with the addition of AD, with the addition of Gafford, hopefully Lively soon, and that's going to be really potent.
That's exactly it. It's that two-headed monster that made this Mavericks front line so formidable. Unfortunately, of course, the injuries derailing that version of the team for such a long period of time and the identity having to change. But now the Mavericks hoping to prove they still have plenty of time to have D-Live and the landlord really make their mark. It seemed like, to me, Skin, I didn't want to think too much about how much we were missing with these two out, because what good did it do? You know, you were going to have to find a way to sustain without them. But now you just have, as you said, you look at the highlights, you look at the numbers, and you remember what an impact they have and will have now going forward.
Yeah, we expect to get Derek back pretty quickly as well. And it's interesting, their stats are so similar, which shows you how they function, how that position functions within the team. And obviously, they have more experience and they're better players than Kai Jones. But I was kind of thinking about there, Brian, as Dana was breaking that down, Kai Jones actually gave them a little bit of a taste of what they were missing. Mm-hmm. And now they can bring these guys back in the mix with Kai. They don't have to rush them back. There's going to be a minute restriction. So Kai kind of bridged the gap, and now we get the real deal showing up, both guys this week.
You're finally getting to see the vision of how they want to play when this trade was made. They want to play with two bigs. You look at Cleveland, you look at Oklahoma City, you look at Boston. They all play double bigs a lot of the game, and that's what the Mavs want to do. They want to be able to, in defense, when you drag one of those bigs out, there's always one back at the rim for rim protection. So points in the paint is going to be a lot harder to come by now. And offensively, AD is going to be a mismatch when he's at the 4, and you're going to have that guy underneath. The very first play in this building with AD against Houston, he said on our radio call, Gafford told me, Eddie said, basically, whenever I'm doubled, AD told me to go to the rim, and I'm going to get a lob there. So if you go to that, you're going to play, say, that high-low, big action there. So it unlocks a ton of what this team can do on both sides.
Yeah, it was a glimpse. It was a tease, what we saw. And now we get to get back to it and really dig in to what this can look like. So Daniel Gafford, you know, and he's going to be on that minutes restriction. We heard 15 to 20 minutes right now. Lively, when he gets back, will have to work his way back just as much. But the length and the activity and the energy that Daniel Gafford will bring in those 15 to 20 minutes is going to be game-changing.
Yeah, it's huge, and I think it has such a tremendous impact defensively, not just Gafford being back there, but Anthony Davis at the 4. You know, the way defenses are constructed in the modern game, you want to try to get, you know, guys to take 20-foot, 18-foot jumpers. If you have a guy like Anthony Davis running you off the three-point line, you can't go all the way to the rim because Gafford's back there, or Lively, or Kai Jones, or whoever. And so you're settling for those long jumpers. PJ Washington Jr. can do the same thing. Anthony Davis. They become very long and athletic along that back line, and it's a real defensive strength for this team now.
Yeah, imagine Najee, TJ, AD, and Gafford as your 2 through 5.
Yeah.
You saw Houston in that first half of that game in February not having anywhere to go in the paint at all.
Right.
That paint is going to be walled off. And Lively, when he's back, he can guard in space. So can AD. So that helps with what you're talking about there. You're going to get rebounds, which allows you to go play with pace as well. They just, haven't had had those tools, and now that health allows you to finally see what you can actually become.
It felt like for so long we've been talking about them being shorthanded, being undersized, but of course there was this determination and this fearlessness about that group that was out there. Now what you do is you take that fight that they've shown and you put it with the serious talent and size of adding in Anthony Davis, because you're going to have Gafford and Lively playing with Anthony Davis, a 10-time All-Star, really for the first time this season. This will be the first home game that we'll have Anthony Davis back out there, Skin, since his debut, which was so dramatic in so many different ways, but unfortunately did not end in a full game for him. So here he is back out there tonight in front of these home fans for the first time since that moment.
Yeah, and I can't wait to really feel what that's going to feel like with the energy in the building. But keep in mind, the Mavericks are down to basically one point guard in Spencer Dinwiddie, and even he is a combo guard in a lot of ways. He's not a traditional point. So not only is Anthony Davis going to be dependent upon to really bolster the defense, they're going to run a lot of offense through him, Brian, because, when you have someone as talented as he is, he's not a playmaker, but he can create plays for others because of his skill set and because so much attention is placed on him.
Yeah, and you both been doing this for a really long time. You remember the Jet Terry, Dirk Nowitzki pick and roll, right? Yeah. They would go over to one side, and then it would get that little kind of mid-range game that Dirk would hit. That's what AD and Spencer are going to do tonight and going forward, because, again, you don't have as much playmaking as you normally would. So AD is going to be a hub of the offense. Yeah. And, again, when he's doubled, somebody's going to be open, whether it's somebody outside for a three or that big up top, because you can play that big. So this is going to unlock a lot more of what the Mavs want to do on both ends.
And they hope unlock a lot more wins along the way. They are riding their best wave of positivity in terms of wins and in terms of the standings here that they've had in a while, winning 4 of their last 5. And that nice road trip bumped them up to 9th in the Western Conference. And that's meanwhile, you've got Sacramento that's struggling, losing 5 of 6. And the Phoenix Suns here too. Skin, they've got Kevin Durant news. He's now going to miss at least a week with a left ankle sprain. So they're adding injury into what has been kind of a rough vibe for them here in the last few weeks. So as you look at the standings and we talk about the Mavericks getting healthier, what does that say to you?
Well, I would normally like to exhale, but this is not the season to ever exhale for any reason. I mean, actually, Phoenix had a nice little run a couple weeks ago, and then they petered out. Now they're dealing with the Kevin Durant injury. He's not even on their road trip right now. And so Phoenix is on the outside looking in for now, but the Mavericks cannot rest. They have 2 very important home games that if they want to make that plan, Brian, honestly, they need to win tonight and Wednesday night too against Atlanta.
That's exactly right. And if you look at the schedule, Phoenix still has the hardest schedule, the entire league going forward. Sacramento has the 5th easiest in the West. Dallas has the 6th easiest in the West. So it's right there for the taking. Remember, we don't own the tiebreaker against either team. And if you get that 9th spot, you get the home game in the play-in to then advance to the loser of the 7-8. And there's still a battle in 6, 7, 8 of who's going to end up there. So take care of your business, and you should be able to play home here in the play-in.
Much more coming up here as we continue to set up this game with the Mavs and the Nets. The Mavs getting big pieces back up front, but getting even thinner in the backcourt. What's the point guard plan? We'll discuss that next. What a year it has been for Spencer Dinwiddie, from the last man signed to the last man standing in terms of the point guards, as chaos has erupted around, and he's just been the calm within the storm. He's been a constant for the Mavericks, playing a critical role as that floor general now. Skin, his experience, his skill set has just proven to be so valuable for this team.
Mavericks on a good run of last guy being signed, having a big impact, as Derrick Jones Jr. started all last year. And, when Spencer Dinwiddie was signed, I remember talking to folks about his role. And to me, I would equate it to like a long reliever in baseball, where you would go a long time without playing and then suddenly you're needed for a critical situation. But the way this season has gone, Brian, he is their point guard now, and they absolutely have to have him be good in order to win games.
You're absolutely right. 15th man signed, minimum salary and in the very first game, not in the rotation.
Yeah.
And he ends the season most game plays, most minute plays. And his contribution is so important because he puts everybody in the correct position. He gets the ball where he wants to. The key word Jason Kidd always uses is organize. He gets the offense organized. He knows where everybody needs to be. He's got an 8 assist to turnover ratio of 8-1 in the last 10 games. So when his shot is not there, he's distributing, and then he can be that shot creator, hit open threes, and he's most effective when he's driving the ball and either getting a foul, getting the bucket, or popping it outside for someone else.
And you know what? The other thing about him, we talked about all these guys playing out of position. Spencer Dinwiddie, if you look at him in his career, he's been a combo guard. He's a guy that comes in and generates offense. He's not a pass-first point guard. And again, he's asked to be that. Just like all these guys this year have been asked to be something that they're not. Spencer Dinwiddie is not a point guard. He is a combo guard. He's good at playing that role when he needs to, but he has had to adjust his game in order to fit in with what the Mavericks
And
need.
he'll be the first to tell you, because of the way his career has gone, he's used to doing that.
Yeah.
Every team he's been on, every situation he's been in, he's been asked to do different things, and he's ready to step in at 31 years old in his 11th year in the league. And he is just, incredibly important to this Mavericks team right now, especially because, unfortunately, Brandon Williams, who was just an amazing addition to this team, has now come to the end of his 2-way contract and cannot play any more games for this team at this current time. It's been sort of a silver lining of this difficult season to see these 2-way guys just really showcase their talent and get a chance to show how they belong in this league. And Brandon Williams certainly did that, Brian.
So just to remind everybody, the reason he can't play anymore on the big club till the end of the year, the 2-way contracts can play 50 games. He's suited up for 50 games, and he's been available now for 50 as a Maverick. Now, that doesn't mean he's done. At the end of the season, I'm not going to get into all the minutia, but basically right before the last game, he can then be signed because of the salary cap math to play in that last game and any play-in and playoff games, and you have his rights in the offseason. That's the good news. He's still with the team. He'll be here tonight. He can practice. So is Kessler Edwards. But when you talk to Jason Kidd, he's like, this guy is an NBA player. His days of being a 2-way are over. He's a legit, and it'll probably be a legit player on this team. And then he talks about speed over and over, playing with pace and being fearless.
I would love it if he was on this team next year, too. We've talked about this time and time again. He's an NBA player. And I think a lot of people go, a 2-way guy. I mean, he's barely hanging on. He was very highly recruited coming out of high school. He was a big-time player, and then he had an injury, and then he took a year off to get ready for the draft, and then that didn't work out. So he's had to grind his way back. But it's not like 1 in a million shot. This was a guy, and Brian talked about his speed. People thought he was an NBA player when he was coming out of high school. He just had to go about proving it a different way.
Yeah, his scoring and his playmaking been a real plus for the Mavericks, who now have to find that elsewhere. So we're looking at you, Jaden Hardy, right? This is a big opportunity for you, but there's also going to be some other combinations of guys who certainly have the ball handling skills at the bigger size that will step in to do that.
It's going to start with Jaden Hardy. He's going to be that guy off the bench, and the key with Jaden Hardy is consistency. Can he stack good games after another? When Jason Kidd points to him on the bench, he wants to know exactly what he's going to get from him day in and day out. But it isn't just going to be him. It's going to be Najee Marshall, the knife, continuing to be that guy kind of as a secondary ball handler, getting the ball and driving into traffic. PJ Washington does that. And don't forget about Caleb Martin. He can also, in his limited minutes, get in there and push the pace, kind of like Dante Exum did.
Again, it's like guys trying to be things they aren't because out of necessity. I firmly believe Jaden Hardy is at his best when he's looking for his own shot. That's when he makes fewer mistakes. You see him playing as opposed to thinking the game. He's actually playing the game. I think the guy that's on this team that is the most natural playmaker behind Spencer Dinwiddie is Najee.
Yeah.
But Jaden Hardy, because of his position, his experience, is going to be asked to do that. But I have a feeling when those two guys are on the floor together, I think we see Najee do a little more facilitating and Jaden looking to do a little more scoring because that's germane to who he is.
As they have all year long, the Mavericks leaning into the versatility that they have in different players from top to bottom here on this roster. More coming up as we get you ready for Anthony Davis and the Mavericks. We're counting you down to tip-off on Mavs Center Court, presented by Baylor Scott and White Health. As P.J. Washington Jr. put it, Klay Thompson is always head in the game, ready to go, ready to hit a big shot. And as you see in our pregame checkup, brought to you by Baylor Scott and White Health, one of the greatest three-point shooters this game has ever seen, has also been one of the most productive and consistent over the years. Now, with 10 seasons of 200-plus three-pointers made, second behind, of course, Steph Curry. As you know, the two we know have often done, drained a lot of threes over the years. And just the other night, he got to that 200-plus skin in Chicago with another one of those special Klay Thompson nights.
It's incredible, too, when you look at that and you see him and Steph together and you think they did 9 of those together where they both hit 200 threes together. But keep in mind, Klay Thompson missed 2 seasons in his prime, or he'd be right there tied with Steph Curry at 12.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it really, what turned the game in Chicago was those 3 threes that he made there in that personal 11-0 run to turn it around. I remember that first game in San Antonio, those 2 games a couple of weeks ago. You were down there, and after that win, he was so pumped up.
Yes. He was.
Just kind of fist pumping as he walked in, and you were doing an on-court interview, and he did the radio interview with us.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's a leader, and that guy wants to win.
Yes. You know, it's so funny, and I'm glad you brought that up, because think about what our feelings were about the state of the team then and how we feel now and how things have turned so dramatically since that split in San Antonio.
These guys want to win. That's why Anthony Davis fought to came back, and Daniel Gafford fought to came back, and Darren Lively is fighting to come back, and Klay is still playing it a hard way, and Spencer is playing all those minutes. These guys want to play hard and they want to win. They're responding to Jason Kidd.
I implore Mavs fans to always listen to Klay Thompson in his post-game interviews because he will remind you how invested he is in this, not only getting into the play-in, but beyond and in the future beyond even that. One of the great storylines tonight for the opponent, the Brooklyn Nets, has a local flavor that makes all of us here quite proud, to be honest. Drew Timme has just signed a multi-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, Drew Timme is a local legend, a tremendous high school career at J.J. Pearson Richardson, an All-American at Gonzaga. What a collegiate career he had. Was undrafted out of college, though, has spent a good amount of time in the G League, where he has continued to work his butt off, impress, and work his way back. Just recently made his NBA debut. And how great is this? How cool is this? That just a few games in to his NBA career, the Nets are playing here in his backyard, Skin.
Right before we went on the air, our buddy Mark Followell was down there talking to Chris Arnold, and it was, before our show started, and he gave a shout out to Drew Timme. And I thought it was Justin Bieber. Like, there's a bunch of Timme fans here, and they went crazy. And I'm so happy for his family. I've been really good friends with his grandfather for a long, long, long time. In fact, this is a picture. Drew is a sophomore there. He's and that's his brother on the right. So he's a sophomore in high school there. That was in 2017. And now here we are, whatever it is, 8 years later. And he's had 2 good games. For the Nets. He had a 50-point game down there in the G League a couple weeks ago.
It's really hard for these kind of below-the-rim guys to make it in the league, but I really hope that a guy like that can, just by hard work and showing that you can do what's needed on an NBA team to make it, and he proved himself in the G League, and he's got his shot in this multi-year contract. I'm really happy for him.
He has a brilliant feel for the game, high IQ, incredibly hard worker, amazing family that we all know and love, and there's going to be so many of them here today. He is a true winner, and any team will be very, very lucky and happy to have him. Let's look now at the Maverick side of things, and the big storyline for them is the return of Daniel Gafford, who returns to the starting lineup as well here tonight. He'll be playing his first game since February 10th. Just quickly, Skin, how great it'll be to have him back out there.
It's just a tremendous boost, and this has been a team that keeps getting these boosts. AD came back, and now Gafford comes back. We're going to get Lively back. Can't wait to see him on the floor.
Yeah, the trend lines are going in the right direction. Look for him to get that first play, maybe that PJ off the block or AD of the double, and right to Gafford for a lob just to kind of get the juices flowing early.
The Mavericks are 4-0 with Anthony Davis in the lineup, who will play in front of these home fans for the first time since his debut back in February. We've got a great one on deck for you. Tip-off of the Nets and the Mavericks on WFAA is next.